jungle. Audio jungle.
Ohio purged the voter rolls. And the Trump administration is supporting them, and you should too. The Supreme Court will hear a controversial case regarding voter registration and voter rolls in Ohio. Thousands of legal voters have been removed from the registered rolls due to inactivity at the ballot box. In other words, these American citizens that had previously registered to vote were turned away on Election Day due to skipping past elections. The practice stems from a state policy that was implemented in 1994 in order to avoid illegal voting and preserve the integrity of our elections. The assumption goes as follows: these people haven't voted in multiple elections, possibly in decades, and therefore it is unlikely that they will be voting again. Therefore, if someone comes to the ballot box and claims to be a person that hasn't voted in such a long period of time, there's a good chance that said person is an imposter. But inactivity isn't all it takes to be removed. And that's the most important detail. Fox News reports. The main argument on behalf of voters whose registrations were canceled is that federal voting law specifically prohibits states from using voter inactivity to trigger purges. The state purges registered voters who are still eligible to vote, former and current Ohio elections officials said in a brief supporting the voters. At the Supreme Court, voting cases often split the court's liberal and conservative justices. Civil rights groups contend that a decision for Ohio would have widespread implications because there is a nationwide push to make it more difficult and costly to vote, as the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund told the court. A dozen mainly Democratic states also want the Supreme Court to declare that Ohio's system violates federal law. Ohio, backed by 17 other mostly Republican states, said it is complying with federal law. The state, where Republicans have controlled the Secretary of State's office for all but 4 years since 1991, said it first compares its voter lists with the U.S. Postal Service list of people who have reported a change of address. The problem, the state said, is that some people move without notifying the post office. Opponents of the practice argue that abstention from Election Day should not be penalized, but the Ohio Board of Elections counters that it isn't a penalty and voters are free to re-register. The Board of Elections says that it is imperative that voter logs are kept up to date in order to avoid election fraud. Further, before being removed, all potential parties are notified by mail and given a chance to respond. The removal is not directly linked to failure to vote, it's linked to a failure to respond to a government notice requesting them to confirm they wish to remain registered. Even then, voters are not removed until after they fail to vote again. That's why the Trump administration supports Ohio's right to deregister residents that fail to respond and then subsequently fail to vote again. Frankly, doesn't it make sense to remove voters that don't care enough to answer a letter or participate in our elections? What we need now are engaged voters that are paying attention and not moved by some emotional appeal made by the corrupt mainstream media. Together we will make America great again.